All right. So today we've got a word problem where our two friends, Jared and Holden, are eating a pizza. So the bits of information that we're given in this problem are Jared is able to eat twice as fast as Holden. And Holden, the opposite of that would be Holden takes twice as much time as Jared does to eat the same pizza. The other bit of information we know is that when Jared and Holden both eat the pizza together, it takes them 3.5 hours. And then the question for this problem is asking us this. How long would it take for Jared and Holden to eat the pizza on their own? So right now they're eating it together and it takes them 3.5 hours. But if Jared were to eat the pizza on his own, how long would it take him? And if Holden were to eat the same pizza, how long would it take him? So the first thing to do is not even try and put together an equation. Let's just figure out some way to mentally represent what's going on. So we have Jared eating at whatever rate he is eating, and we have Holden eating at whatever rate he is eating. And then at the end, they eat one pizza in 3.5 hours. So since we know that it takes them 3.5 hours to eat one pizza, or one pizza per 3.5 hours, that's going to be our rate. It's going to be pizzas per hour. So Jared's rate and Holden's rate are going to be represented by pizzas per hour. Okay. And then in the end, we're being asked how long would it take for Jared to eat it on his own and Holden to eat it on their own. We don't know that. We don't know how long it would take for them to eat it on their own. But we do know that it would take them 3.5 hours together. So that means that the amount of time that it would take for each of them is going to be x. That's just some unknown time. But we don't want to use two variables, because if you have two variables, you need a lot more equations to solve it. So we just want to use one variable. So the first variable we're going to use is just x. And I'm just going to use that for Holden, because Holden takes twice as long as Jared, or Jared eats twice as fast as Holden. So I can just use the same variable and just say Jared eats twice as fast as Holden. So Holden's rate in terms of pizzas per hour would be one pizza per some unknown number of hours. And then Jared's rate, since he eats twice as fast as Holden, he would eat two pizzas in that same amount of time. So it'd be two pizzas per some amount of hours. And then this way we can solve for x, because it's just going to be some version of x is equal to some number. Okay, so let's figure out how we can add all of these together. So in order to add fractions together, actually here, in this one, we don't need to necessarily figure out common denominators. Let's just add these two together, because these two have the same denominator. So 2 over x plus 1 over x gives us 3 over x, and that's equal to 1 over 3 times 5. And then this is a really good situation to have, because now we can just cross multiply. We can go this times this is equal to this times that. So we'll get x is equal to 3 times 3.5, which is 9 plus 1.5, so 10.5 hours. Okay, now we just need to remember, who is this for? This x is for Holden. So Holden takes 10.5 hours for one giant pizza. Okay, so if that's Holden's rate, it takes him 10.5 hours, then how long would it take Jared? So we know that Jared is twice as fast as Holden. So that means Jared is going to be half of this. So that means Jared takes 10.5 divided by 2, which is equal to 5.25 hours. All right, and that answers the question. So we got 10.5 for Holden. And for Jared, we have 5.5. So just to go back to the equation up here, I'll just spend a little bit more time explaining that, and just in case it didn't make any sense. So let's see, the way that you would think about making this equation, we know that Jared and Holden together, they're going to make the pizza go away faster, right? Because of that, we're going to be adding the two. So it's going to be whatever Jared is doing plus Holden. That's why I did the addition sign. Now, the other bit of information we got because I figured out that they eat one pizza in 3.5 hours. So that's like the units that we're going to be using. That means that whatever we're talking about for Holden is going to be in that same form. So that's why I did Holden's pizza per hour rate plus Jared's pizza per hour rate. We're going to add those two rates together. And then when I think about how many pizzas can Holden eat for a certain amount of time, they didn't really give me that information. So I know that the hours is going to be the unknown. But then I can say, okay, actually here, in this sense, you can either make hours 1 or you can make pizza 1. But since they said that it takes them 3.5 hours to eat one pizza, that's how I know that right here, I'm going to make that 1. I'm going to do 1 over. And then the hour isn't certain, right? Because they gave us hours here, 3.5, but they didn't give me how many hours it would take for Holden. They're also asking that as the question. How long would it take for them to eat a pizza? They're not saying how many pizzas could they eat in 1 hour. So that's why for hours, I make that the x. Because that's the thing that we're solving for. And then to figure out Jared's rate, I just know that he eats twice as fast. So then he has to be equaling twice this amount. So 2 times this is 2 over x. And then you add the 2 because they're helping each other. They're doing more work together. And then, yeah, the rest is about it. Okay. Let me know if that was helpful. If you have any other questions, let me know. And if you have any other word problems that you'd like me to solve, feel free to put them in the comments below. And if I get a chance, I will answer them. All right, cool. Have a good day.